What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two-Penny Games review. This time, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. I am your lead reviewer and host of this review, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Pleasure to be here. Here to talk about a game that I have not played.
Connor, I'm here. I'm talking to you, my friend, about some Prince of Persia today. And let me tell you what, I'm very, very excited to talk to you about Prince of Persia and The Lost Crown. I feel like this one requires just a touch of backstory to it, because Prince of Persia is a storied franchise with many iterations on that franchise. Obviously started as a 2D side-scroller from old computer days, was reimagined in the PlayStation 2 era, where probably most of its fan base lies, with Prince of Persia and the what is it fucking called? Prince of Persia and the something Sands.
The Forgotten Sands?
Forgotten Sands? It's not Forgotten Sands, is it? Oh my god, this is so embarrassing.
You know what the worst part
Sands
is?
of Time.
Sands of fucking Time.
Sands of Time. That's embarrassing. I, of course, was a big fan of the entire trilogy that took place on PS2, being Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and Two Thrones. Really, really loved all three of those games. Warrior Within was always my personal favorite of the three, even though it got knocked for being edgy and punk rocky and all that stuff. And I get it. The tone is not great for that game, but I loved it as a kid. It was one of my favorite games. Two Thrones also was fantastic as well. I think but most fans remember Sands of Time very, very fondly. So when the series kind of went askew during the PS3 generation, they kind of could not, find their identity. They couldn't reimagine it or revitalize it in any way that was exciting or anything. So Prince of Persia definitely took a back seat, especially when Assassin's Creed came around and became Ubisoft's golden child during the PS3 generation, and then obviously throughout the entirety of the PS4 generation. In which we never got another Prince of Persia game. So when this game was announced last year, I was shocked that, for one, it was happening, and two, that it looked so good. They, of course, transitioned over into a 2D Metroidvania style of gameplay as opposed to a 3D action-adventure platformer. And we're going to get into all that in a minute. But yeah, all the trailers had me really, really sold. It looked like really fluid combat, really solid, really fun combat, and so forth. And I'll go ahead and I'll jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is an amazing game. This game is really, really, really special. If it's not on your radar, absolutely go pick it up and play it right now. 100% worth the time and money. I'm reading runtime is running anywhere from 20 to 25 hours. I'm about 18 hours in, and I do see the end in sight. And I've just had an absolute blast from beginning to end. The game has never ever not been fun to play. And the reason for this is because its combat and its mechanics of just fighting and so forth are so good. They feel so good. Kind of plays a little bit more like a fighting game, sort of like off of directional inputs. You'll push up on the stick and hit square, and you'll knock an enemy into the air. You can hold square, and you'll knock them up and follow them up. Do a bunch of air combos, juggle them around and so forth. Knock them back down, bounce them off the floor, hit them again and so forth. Good parries, great parry system in this game. They do a great thing where they do the classic default move that you can parry pretty much any time. The yellow attacks where the enemy will flash yellow and then will go in and attack you. This is what they call a reckless attack. And that is sort of to where you can get a really stylish insta-kill off of the enemy. And they zoom in, have a very cinematic dynamic camera angle with a bunch of flashing colors. And that's a big point for this game is the style. The style in this game is so cool and awesome and fluid, and it's just the nicest little cherry on top of everything to do with this game. As a Metroidvania, I feel a lot of times Metroidvanias can get very confusing. You can get lost in the levels. You don't know where to go. You're just completely screwed on direction. I feel like they do a really good job of always pointing you in the right direction. And they do this thing that I think is really kind of revolutionary for the genre, where at any point you can press down on the D-pad and basically take a screenshot of wherever you are on screen and whatever is on screen with you. And this will sort of, and then it'll put that screenshot on the map. And this sort of allows you to Um, is this right? Yeah. I'm sorry. And this sort of allows you to be able to always remember where certain doors are. So, like for a long time, there was this like cracked yellow wall that I would see everywhere. And I could never figure out what I was supposed to do with these cracked yellow walls. So every time I saw one, I hit down on the D-pad, had my little screenshot of it. It put it on the map. So anytime I opened up the map and I said, wait, what's over in that area? I haven't explored there yet. Oh, but there's a memory shard is what they call them. Let me scroll over, look at that. Oh, right. That's one of the yellow walls. Okay, I don't need to go back that way. Really saves a lot of time, a lot of useless backtracking, a lot of moments where you go, because that's a big problem in Metroidvanias where you go, what's over there? And you go run over there. You go, oh, right, this shit. Okay, yeah, no, I don't want to be here. And then you go and try and find something, and then you might repeat that cycle because you get lost in the level. Never really happened for me in this game. There's always, they give you just enough direction to where you can kind of find your way through it. There are moments where I go, man, I feel like I've explored everything. And then sure enough, I go, oh no, there's a corner over here I haven't gone. Okay, let me go over there. And then sure enough, that would lead me into the right direction. Let me say, the map in this game is huge. This game is big. Most Metroidvanias, I think, tap out around 8 to 10 hours, maybe 12 to 15. This one being over 20 is crazy. And I'm constantly feeling like, oh my God, there's never an end to some of these levels. They are huge. Specifically, there is a prison section of the map where you're in the prison. That level, I thought I had discovered it all until I knocked down a wall and found I had not even discovered like half of it yet. I still had a whole like 2/3 left to discover in that part of the map. I was blown away. The level design is excellent. It's superb. It is impressively good. The art direction, I think, is fantastic. This really just feels like a great new identity for Prince of Persia, and I really, really hope that we get more from this franchise because of this game. Level design is awesome. It's always fun. The levels are varied. Lots of different environments that you can go through that are all beautiful to look at and really fun to play through. I'll say what is it called? Oh shit, that's broken. The level design is really good, as I said. The puzzles in this game are really inventive and really, really interesting. I went through a section last night. I'm so glad I played through this part before doing this review, where I basically would have to like enter these like little portals, and there was like 4 portals in the room, and I had to enter each individual portal, and it would be a puzzle room in which I would have to interact with a statue, and that statue would basically give me 3 chances to run through the level, and at the end of every, like, it gave me like 10 seconds to go and activate a switch, and then it would revert me back to the beginning of those 10 seconds, and then a ghost of me would go run off and activate the switch, and then so I'd have to use these 2 other clones of myself to get through and achieve the puzzle. It was so well designed. That's the thing about this game, is that from a design perspective, it's perfect. It just knocks it out of the park in every form and fashion. Combat design is awesome. Level design is awesome. Puzzle design is awesome. Art design is phenomenal. Like, they just knock every gameplay element out of the park. A great variety of enemies in this game. Lots and lots of enemies that you can fight. All of them are fun to fight. For the most part, there's 1 or 2, of course, that you're like, oh, fuck, I really don't like fighting these guys. But for the most part, it's a blast to do it. Memorizing combat patterns and, getting those perfect parries off of them, and exploiting their weaknesses and so forth. It's a blast. The boss fights are really cool and inventive and cinematic. I wish they were harder. The game overall is quite punishing, and I think it wears its influences on its sleeve. You see a lot of Dark Souls in this game. You see a lot of, obviously, classic Metroidvania games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Celeste has clearly influenced this game in a lot of ways, which is great for the platforming elements of this game are awesome. Really, really fun to play through. And it just forms together in just this beautiful pot of game design where you're like, wow, this is just fun to play. I gotta say, my biggest hang-up for the game is its story. The story is just kind of there. It's fine. It's a really generic plot. really boring characters, very simple voice acting. Like, there's not a lot of depth in any of the narrative elements of this game. And that extends out to even sort of like the side collectibles, or like sort of, you'll walk around a world and you'll pick up like lore elements, and these will be in the form of like different items, or like scrolls or tablets that have been written on and so forth. And all of it's just really basic and boring. Like, I'm never interested to read any of the like letters of people who have gone through this area before. It's just not very well written. Like, it's I guess you could say just like underbaked level of writing. And that's really my biggest hang up of the game, is that the story is just really not that interesting at all. The environmental storytelling's not that great. Yeah,
you called something pretty much in the tutorial mission, and then it ended up coming true. It was kind of very predictable.
It was instantly like, as soon as the tutorial mission, I go, all right, well, that guy are going to be problems later, and in these ways. And sure enough, that's exactly how it's been played out so far. So yeah, the story at all is not driving me at all. Sometimes I'm like it's doing that thing where like the text will come up because there's a couple of like really like animated cutscenes and so forth, but most dialogue in this game is two characters looking at each other, and then like text pops up like JRPG style, like a persona or whatever, and their character portrait will be there to text, and then they'll be saying their lines, but I'm reading it faster than the actors are acting it, and so I start skipping their acting because I'm like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. It's not like Mass Effect where you're listening to the entire line being finished before they finish it. Like here I'm just like, I know what's happening. All right, cool, moving on. I've got a couple of small, at this point, nitpicks about the game, one of which is performance-based. I have come across quite a few bugs and glitches in my experience. None of it game-breaking. None of it, like, deterring me from playing it or deterring my fun in any way. There are a couple of times where it seems like the game loses where I am on screen. Like, I'm giving it too many inputs, and so it gets confused as to where I am, and suddenly my character will start teleporting around, and this will cause me to maybe take a hit that I shouldn't be taking, which is really annoying because the game is punishing. I'm playing on not the hardest difficulty, but the one above the normal difficulty. I think they call it heroic or something. And the game is punishing. And so every time you take one or two of these hits, because the game can't keep up with what you're doing, it's really aggravating, because that means life or death in some cases and scenarios. Another thing, you can see it right here in the B-roll right here, this little flame character that I'm talking to. The game is being dinged for this. This character doesn't have a voice actor. They've instead gone with an AI text-to-speech voice for it for some reason. It's only just one character. The story is that they forgot to put an actor in that role. Like, they just forgot. I don't know how much I buy that. But yeah, it is distracting. As soon as I came across this character, I go, why is they talking like this? And then I went online and saw that this AI thing was happening. I went, oh no, yeah, it's this character. It's so clearly this character. It sounds like Siri's talking to you, and Siri's just a little sad. Mm-hmm. And so I've got some personal gripes and issues with that. It is really, really disturbing. See, the enemies in this area are awesome. Obviously not the bug flying around right now, but you'll see like guys on four legs crawling after me, and they look like xenomorphs from the Alien movies. They've even got like little like, it's not a jaw within a jaw, it's a long pointy tongue.
Yeah,
but
proboscis.
They open it up and thrust it at you and so forth. They're aliens, like, from that. So like I was running through this part of the level and I was like, this is cool and fun.
Yeah, there they are. Yeah, the enemy design, just on how it was looking when I was watching you play the game and through this footage, you could just tell they're fun to fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Enemy design in games is a really good indicator of how cool they are.
Yeah.
To fight. And when you have one that are hitting as much as this one seems to be, it makes sense. That's one of the high points.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to a bit of one of my nitpicks here, is that the traversing the levels are harder than the boss fights. There are moments in each level where like it's like, man, I don't know how I'm supposed to be able to get through this without dying or something like that. Or, man, this is a big blockade in the way. Because it works kind of like Dark Souls, where you have these walk trees, which are your replacements for bonfires, essentially, where you run up, you get healed. But I think enemies will respawn every time you touch a walk tree.
Probably.
That's what it feels like. And, you get your health potions back and restock on arrows and all this stuff. So, like, when I'm, like, running and trying to get somewhere, and these trees are kind of, spaced out pretty far or something, it can get really frustrating when I'm running in a direction and I'm trying to navigate this level, but these enemies keep killing me at the same time because they're really hard to, like, fight through or avoid or get past. You do end up just kind of, like, you'll fight them on your first way through, and then every time after that, you'll just run past them. But still, it's like, why is that the most difficult part of the game? On top of difficult platforming. The platforming will challenge you, which is great. I love that. But in combination with how hard the combat is when you get swarmed by 3 or 4 enemies at once, it can be a little frustrating at times. And then when you get to the boss fights, they're not as difficult. Like, they don't feel like big moments because they're just not as tough as some of the levels in this game.
And from what you told me before, this one just allows you to challenge boss fights, right? Instead of having to go all the way back, you can just redo it.
Yeah. If you die in a boss fight, you just respawn right there and start the fight again. You do have the option to go back to one of your walk trees. But, more like, I've never felt the need to go respec. Or go figure out something with my build to go do that. I've always felt like if I die in a boss, it's just because I'm still learning their combat patterns, and they just happened to pull out a move that I didn't know they had and killed me with that or whatever.
Yeah, based off how you're talking, it seems like they really had a nice idea with being able to do that and cut out the traversal, especially with one that has, difficult traversal and getting through up to the boss fights. You would think they'd capitalize on that by making the boss fights more difficult, but I guess they just failed to do that.
Yeah.
First game.
I mean, it's a balance thing. I mean, them being easier allows the fight to be more cinematic. So, they'll move the camera around, they'll do cool things in the background and so forth. And, like, all of that is appreciated, or, like, they'll have, like, the cool style happening as you do it or whatever. And all of that is appreciated. But I wish we could find a better balance here, because I would have really liked the boss fights to be like, oh, man, when I fought the witch in the woods, man, that fight was crazy. And, that was a tougher fight than some of the other ones, but overall it was just kind of fine. A lot of the mini bosses are just giant beasts, and you're like, all right, well, let me take out this boar, I guess, or let me take out this big crab, sure. And then you beat it, and you're like, all right, I'm done with that. That was a fight. And then, you'll walk into the next room, and the doors will lock, and 4 really tough enemies will spawn, and you got to fight your way through those, and those are tough fights. The toughest fight I had was last night in the prison level. There's a jail warden character who's pretty difficult to fight, and he's only difficult because it's him in combination with other normal enemy types that he brings into the fight and so forth. That's what made it difficult. So there's that. I will say, I like Metroidvanias. I've played around in the genre a couple of times. Usually I get about, 60 to 70% of the way through, and then I get lost and then frustrated and put it down and walk away. But I always enjoy my time through up to that point where I get lost and confused. That's not happening here. I fully intend to, one, finish my playthrough, but also I fully intend to platinum this game because it's just that fun to move around the world. It's just that fun to fight in this world. The levels are varied enough. There's enough different enemy variants throughout your adventure where it's just never boring. Like, it's just always fun to run around. Even if you're, like, retreading and backtracking all the time, like, you're always having a blast. Like, the game just feels great to play. Which is what's carrying it so far up my personal ranking. Like, this is a very special game. It's going to be hard pressed to not be in my top 3 by the end of the year. Will it be my number 1? I doubt it. There's a couple of games, notably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, on the horizon that I'm pretty sure are going to surpass this one. But yeah, I'm really, really in love with this game. I think it's phenomenal, and everybody should go play it. One small thing, it being a Metroidvania game, I wish there was a minimap. you know, it being a Metroidvania, you're pulling up your map a lot because you go, all right, where am I going now? Okay, I gotta go up, left, hang around, and then drop down and do there. And then, sure enough, you get to your next intersection. You go, fuck, which way do I go? Or like, is this the right up? Or am I taking the right turn here? Do I need to skip this turn and go ahead? And you'll open your map back up and you go, oh no, I need to go ahead. Or oh no, I missed it. This and that. So it's just like, well, this could have been avoided with a little bit of a mini map. I also wish the map was a little more detailed. I understand like when you pull out like and see the whole thing, you don't have to be so detailed there. But you know, some of these rooms that you're in are huge and complex. And it would be nice that like as I traverse my way through it, there was a way to mark the different platforms. So I knew, so like then I could zoom in on a room and be like, okay, this is how you tackled this room or so forth. Because sometimes I enter a room and I go, like it's a room that I haven't been in you know 6 hours of gameplay, and I go, all right, how do I get through this room again? And I open the map and I go, it's just a blank square, like it's just a big square. So like I have to refigure out how to get through this room that I've already figured out how to get through, and that's never as fun the second, third, fourth time around. So I just wish there was like a little bit of mini-map that would give me a little bit more detail on the map so that I could figure out when I'm supposed to turn, when I'm on long treks to travel across the entire map, or when I get stuck in one of the bigger rooms that are really complex and so forth. Just a small little nitpick, a wish that was there. Again, the memory shard mechanic totally like fixes 90% of my hangups with this genre. Not that I have a lot. I love Metroidvanias. I love playing them, but I rarely ever beat them. And the memory shard mechanic totally fixes that. There's no way I'm not beating this game. I mean, again, man, the style, the combat, the level design, the puzzles, all of these are so good. I just wish the story was a little bit better.
Small issue with Metroidvanias where that gameplay loop is really what you're trying to get sold on.
Yeah, but there's examples of good stories in Metroidvanias. I think Axiom Verge had a good story. The first one, at least, had a good story to it. But I got lost and never beat that game. Metroid Dread's story was fine. Like, it was good. It was better than this. It's just like, you know, you're just kind of playing it or whatever. And you go, all right, yeah, this character, that character, cool, whatever. But its big moments, its big cinematic moments are really well directed and have great style to them, and so forth. And so, yeah, I fully 100% recommend Prince of Persia to anybody who loves great combat, great level design, good puzzles, like it's just great overall game feel and game design are at 100% here. The story is whatever. But like that's not why you should play this game. You should play this game because it feels great to play. The combat is satisfying, and like it really is just never boring, which is something that I'm shocked by because there's always a boring segment of every video game, right? I've not come across that moment in this game. Like it's just always a blast.
The perks of strong gameplay.
Indeed. Connor, where are you at with this, man? You gonna pick it up?
If I have time later on, but I'm not like drawn to it specifically. So I'm gonna do this the next time I play a game that you're not going to play that I say is
Connor,
good.
you would genuinely really like this game.
No, I know I would. It's not a matter of would I not like it. It's am I or am I not going to play it.
You should play it. I fully recommend this game to you specifically. You would really enjoy it. The combat would get you.
Yeah, I bet it would.
Good sound effects, good sound design. That's something else I haven't really talked about now that I'm looking at it in the B-roll here. You have this necklace of amulets. This is this reminds me a lot of the materia system from Final Fantasy VII, where that's a bad example actually. Each of these amulets kind of give you like a pro or like a little like benefit in combat or something. Like one gives you like an extra bar of health. One there's one of my favorites is every time you successfully parry, you get some health back. Some of them apply more stun to an enemy. You have these heavy attacks called Athra energy attacks. As you're fighting, you're building up this Athra energy, and you can build up to like 2 levels of it, a level 1 and a level 2. every time you build up to a bar, you acquire that bar. But in the process of building, if you like start taking hits and damage, you'll start losing the energy in that. You can apply different amulets that will decrease the amount of energy you lose, or make it build a little faster and stuff like that. There's a bunch of amulets that do a bunch of different things. My thing about it is that you have so few amulet slots, and some amulets cost multiple slots to put on, that I feel like I'm wasting a lot of these amulets. I feel like they're going unused in my inventory. I'm not playing with my build enough, either because they take up too many slots, either because I don't have enough slots, something there. Like, I just don't feel incentivized to experiment with them. I kind of found the ones I liked and set them and forget about them. I kind of wish they were more fun to experiment with and play around with. A lot of them just kind of end up feeling like they're going to the wayside and that I'm not using them in any way that I should, or so forth. I think I have like over 20 amulets right now, and I've been using the same 4 for the majority of my playthrough.
A system that I think would be a good comparable thing is Elden Ring's talisman system, where you have certain effects that change depending on which talisman you have. They affect certain types of builds and whatnot. It's a good system to have.
It is. I'm glad it's here. It's just like, it just needs a little bit more tweaking to like be more effective and useful.
Yeah. And like I said, this is the first game in what's potentially, going to be a thing Ubisoft's going to do. I mean, we know Ubisoft; they're always grabbing that money, and this seemed to do well, especially review-wise.
We'll see, man. I hope it does well. Like, genuinely, go out and support this game, because it's only, I think it's a $50 game, 25 hours. Like, that's longer than some single-player, full-price narrative games. That's arguably longer than Spider-Man 2. And clearly this game was working on a smaller budget than Spider-Man 2, but it's absolutely worth your time and money in it. And I'm really, really impressed that Ubisoft put this game out. I was shocked to see the return of this IP. I thought Prince of Persia was long dead, and it's back in better form than it ever was in the PS2 generation. This is probably my favorite Prince of Persia game now. Like, it is fucking good.
You save that until you go back and you get that edge in your system. And one day
that hard rock plays as I have sex with a woman in red dress or something like that.
This sounds bad. People didn't like that one? What losers.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're losers now. They were just scum of the earth.
It is what it is. But here's one of those. It gets kind of blocked off or whatever. But yeah, that was one of those reckless kills. They didn't see it because I just switched camera angles or so forth. But
don't worry, you didn't miss out on much.
Yeah, they're part of the environment blocked it. But yeah, fuck, I'm gonna play more of this game right now.
Well,
and now because of your bitch ass, I gotta put it down and go finish my Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, that's fine.
No, it's not fine, Connor. I want to play Prince of Persia.
That's fine. You're not going to, because the reasons you just laid out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and listening. Let me know how you felt about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown down in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Get that algorithm working for us. We really do appreciate it. Let me know if you're going to play Prince of Persia, if it's on your list, if this review inspired you to check it out at all. I hope it did. Please go support this game. Excuse me. Please go support this game and show Ubisoft that we want more things like this and not, the typical sludge that they've been putting out for the last couple of years. This is a great direction for this franchise. This is a great direction for Ubisoft as a whole. And I really, really hope we see more from this new iteration of the game. I love it. It's amazing. Go play it. Until next time, y'all have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Yeah, goodbye. See you next week.